This boy lived in a bunker for 35 years, saw the real world for the first time, and now psychiatrists are chasing him. Let's find out what he did. This story takes place in the United States in the mid-20th century. At that time, Americans were very afraid of a nuclear strike from the USSR and built underground bunkers in case of a missile attack. A group of wealthy city residents throws a party, drinking and chatting about politics. They turn on an urgent address by President Kennedy and learn that, according to intelligence reports, the USSR is building a missile base in Cuba. The wealthy guests immediately end the party and leave. Only Calvin Weber and his pregnant wife Helen remain in the house. They quickly descend into their underground shelter. It turns out that Calvin had secretly built it and stocked it with enough supplies to last for several decades. At that moment, an American fighter jet is flying over the United States. The pilot reports a serious malfunction to the dispatcher and requests permission to land. The engine catches fire, and the pilot ejects. The fighter jet loses control and crashes directly into Weber's house. Calvin realizes that a catastrophe has occurred. He's convinced it was a nuclear bomb dropped by the USSR and orders his wife never to leave the shelter under any circumstances. The bunker's lock automatically seals, and they will have to stay there for 35 years. The next day, people gather at the site of the fighter jet crash. They see the ruins of the house and assume that Calvin and his wife perished, as no one knew about the secret underground bunker of this strange family. Helen is devastated by the thought of spending the rest of her life underground. Calvin tries to comfort her. He had designed the shelter to resemble a real home, but Helen still feels scared and lonely. Soon she goes into labor and gives birth to a healthy baby boy. They name him Adam, after the first man on Earth. The family gradually adapts to their strange life in the bunker. A whole year passes, and Adam takes his first steps. A few more years go by, and he learns to speak well and read fluently. On the site of their destroyed house, the authorities decide to build a diner. During construction, engineers come across something made of metal but assume it's a hazardous waste container and leave it untouched. Soon, a large diner opens there, serving cocktails and other drinks. The place becomes very popular. Adam grows older. His parents teach him how to box and dance, but he still feels very lonely. The diner is replaced by a beer bar, which also becomes popular. Soon, it becomes the gathering spot for all the city's nonconformists. Adam's father tries to give him a good education. He teaches him financial literacy, as well as French and Latin. He also hands Adam his stocks and baseball cards. Adam celebrates another birthday. His parents give him a new blazer and roller skates. He confesses that his biggest wish is to meet a girl. His father reassures him that in 2 years, they will be able to go outside, which means Adam can find a girlfriend, assuming people haven't turned into mutants. So, 35 years have passed since the accident. The automatic lock of the bunker opens. Calvin and Helen rush to the metal doors and unlock them. The path to freedom is open, but they must not rush as caution is required. The family decides to wait until midnight. Now, it is homeless people who hang out at the site of the beer bar, drinking and arguing with each other. Suddenly, the ground underneath them begins to shake. An underground passage opens, and Calvin comes out of there in a hazmat suit, holding a flashlight. One of the homeless people faints from shock. Calvin steps outside and sees that his house is no longer there. He runs through the streets, trying to understand what has happened over the past 35 years. It seems that an era of drunkenness, criminals, and decidedly adult entertainment has arrived. Calvin returns to the bunker and tells his wife and son that due to radiation, people have mutated, started eating from trash bins, and are even changing their gender. He suggests that the family stay in the bunker. Helen is adamantly against it. She wants their son to finally see the sun and the ocean. Calvin suffers a heart attack. Adam decides to go upstairs to replenish their supplies of food and medicine. His mother gives him money and tells him where he can buy food and alcohol. His father warns him not to enter the adult stores, as they spray toxic gas there. Adam emerges to the surface and once again frightens a local homeless person. He steps out into the street and for the first time in his life sees sunlight, cars, houses, and other people. The young man gazes in awe at the sky and the random passers-by. Calvin and Helen are very worried about their son and hope that he will be okay. Meanwhile, Adam takes his first bus ride and asks for directions to the local supermarket. He wants to buy hamburger patties, but finds out that after 35 years, their price has risen significantly. He doesn't have enough cash to cover all his purchases. To get some money, Adam decides to sell the collection of baseball cards his father gave him. The owner of the sports store tries to trick Adam by offering only $500 for all his valuable cards. However, a saleswoman named Eve confesses to Adam that they are worth much more. She is immediately fired. Adam and Eve leave together. The girl wants to get away from her new acquaintance as he's acting too strangely. Adam then promises to give her his most valuable card if she helps him. Eve takes our hero to the nearest hotel. Adam books a large room with a phone on the 18th floor. He looks out the window and is incredibly frightened by the height. The phone rings in his room. It's Eve. She wants to return the baseball card Adam gave her because it's too valuable. Adam then hires his new friend as his personal assistant. She is tasked with selling all his baseball cards and helping him buy several trucks full of supplies. They rent a truck and a huge warehouse, purchasing enough supplies to last at least 10 years. Adam gives Eve a new task. He needs to find himself a wife in 2 weeks, but he has no idea how to go about it. Our characters head to Eve's home, where they meet her ex-boyfriend. The young woman admits that she just can't find someone to love. At home, they eat sushi and drink champagne. Eve's friend, Troy, tries to figure out what Adam does for a living and where he's from, but Adam keeps his secret. Meanwhile, in the bunker, Helen drinks a couple of cocktails and decides to go up to the surface. Well, another nervous breakdown for the local homeless man. It turns out he has managed to gather a whole cult here. Frightened, the woman immediately goes back. Adam buys himself new clothes and a pair of inline skates he's dreamed of for a long time. He skates along the waterfront and is as happy as a child. The young man sees the ocean for the first time and immediately dives into its waves. Eve realizes that her new friend is truly out of his mind. Adam also experiences rain for the first time, and it sparks a whirlwind of emotions in him. Eve promises to help him find a wife, and together with Adam and Troy, they head to a nightclub. There, Adam is introduced to a beautiful woman named Sophie. They both speak French and quickly hit it off. Eve starts to feel jealous. Adam checks out the local young women and tries to find a wife among them. He approaches a rather cute girl and invites her to dance. Adam dances with her and her friend, looking like the true star of the party. His mom's training definitely paid off. Eve grows even more jealous. Adam tries to confess his feelings to Eve, but they're interrupted by her ex-boyfriend. He invites her on a date, and she agrees, wanting to make Adam jealous and anger him. Her plan works. A fight breaks out between Adam and Eve's ex-boyfriend, making the young woman cause a scandal and leave the club. Troy tells Eve that Adam left the club with beautiful Sophie. Seeing her reaction, Troy immediately realizes that Eve is madly in love with him. Eve runs out of the house, intending to go to her rival and beat her up. However, Adam unexpectedly returns home. At first, they argue and yell at each other, but eventually, they reconcile and even have their first kiss. Our protagonist tries to tell Eve the story of his life, but his words sound so insane that she doesn't believe him. She panics and once again becomes convinced that her new boyfriend is a real psycho, so she kicks him out of her house. The next morning, Adam arrives at Eve's place again. There are social workers at her house. It turns out that Eve called social services and told them about her crazy friend. Now they want to take him to a specialized clinic. However, when Adam is on the street, he manages to escape. He hijacks a truck, crashes into the social service car, and drives away. He returns to his bunker with the local homeless man and boasts about having bought all the necessary supplies. They need to quickly get everything into the shelter before the psychiatrists catch up with him. Eve is tormented by guilt. She feels that she did the wrong thing, and together with Troy, drives to Adam's hotel. In his hotel room, the young woman finds many items from the 1960s and realizes that Adam wasn't lying to her. Among his belongings are old stocks, the value of which has increased by thousands of times. and now they are worth millions of dollars. With Troy's help, Eve finds the entrance to Adam's underground bunker. It turns out that there's an adult store above it, and below it is the shelter of Adam's family. Eve sees Adam just a second before he descends into the bunker, runs to him, hugs him, and kisses him. They go down to the shelter together, and Adam introduces his beloved to his parents. Our hero says he will return to the bunker in 2 months because he has some important matters to take care of right now. But first, they will have lunch together, as his father needs to give his son a lesson in sexual education. Thanks to the shares of IBM, which skyrocketed in value, Adam becomes a millionaire. He builds a luxurious mansion in an upscale neighborhood and buys a red convertible. Soon, he moves his parents into the new house. At first, he doesn't tell them that there was no nuclear attack, but eventually, he confesses the truth to his father. Calvin is so happy about the collapse of the USSR that he doesn't mind it very much. However, they decide not to tell his mother anything.